And we are back, baby, with yet another edition of Must Start Players for the week. And I cannot believe it's November already. We're more than midway through the 2021 season. It sucks, right? But if you're in contention right now and things are looking good, it's no time to sit back and coast. You can't be complacent. And that's what we're talking about today. We get into the weeds on this video. One quick video every week. Give you the best starters for your flex, streamers, guys that haven't been producing well that we think will this week, or guys that are producing well and you might say, not sure it's sustainable. All of that. We're digging into it for week 9. And of course, I'm Dave Loughran from Awesemo.com. Hit me up on Twitter if you haven't done so yet, at Loughy_D, Loughy_D, and hit the thumbs up. It only takes a second, helps us combat those YouTube overlords here with that pesky algorithm. Subscribe to the channel and hit those notification bells as well. Let's get into it. Eli Mitchell, thanks to some good fortune and routinely bad fortune for Raheem Mostert, combined with outplaying third-round rookie Trey Sermon, is the clear lead back in the Niners backfield. He's handled 17-plus carries in 4 of 5 games and has played 60+% of snaps in all of them. The only thing about Mitchell that holds him back at this point from having some monster games is his lack of involvement in the passing game. Mitchell's only been targeted 4 times on the season, but is at least on the field for a decent amount of those plays and is running routes on 44% of dropbacks, so maybe that'll change. But still, Mitchell is definitely behind JaMycal Hasty and even Kyle Juszczyk in that phase of the offense. Here's the good part, though. Mitchell's gotten 83% of the running back carries when active, and he has 100-plus yards and touchdowns in 3 of those 5 games. So this week against the Cardinals, who could be without Kyler Murray, Mitchell stands to see another huge workload at home. And the Cardinals' run defense has been their biggest weakness, allowing almost 5 yards per carry, second most in the league, 121 rushing yards per game, and earning a bottom 4 grade on PFF. Meanwhile, Mitchell's averaging 5.3 yards per carry on the year and is second in the league with 5 runs of 20-plus yards despite playing only 5 games. You should already like Mitchell, especially if you're a Christian McCaffrey owner and he doesn't return this week, or maybe you took that heavy blow this week as I did in many leagues with Derrick Henry. But Mitchell becomes even more appealing in the event that Kyler Murray doesn't play for Arizona. The Texans have a 20-point implied total this week, which is like 40 points for the Rams or the Bucs or an actual good football team. They actually have a damn good matchup against the Dolphins, though, and Brandin Cooks should definitely take advantage. Despite terrible quarterbacking from Davis Mills, Cooks is still the wide receiver 17 at the midway point of the season. I talked about this a ton over the summer before the season started, when everyone was talking about how bad quarterbacks on bad teams can't produce decent fantasy options in the passing game. And it's just not true. Sure, they shouldn't ever be relied upon to support a cast of players, but one good receiver like Cooks can still be productive in a bad situation, and he has been. He's going to have some bad games, sure, but he'll often get peppered with targets and has been playing from behind every single week. Cooks has a 30% target share in the Texans offense. No one else is above 12%. And while they aren't in the red zone all that much, he still has a team-leading 23% target share there as well. But here's the best part. Miami's pass coverage has been awful, allowing 291 yards per game, 17 touchdowns through the air, and a league worst by a mile, 39 completions of 20-plus yards. So while this Houston offense largely stinks, I have no problem starting a guy who is 6th in the NFL in targets, 4th in receptions, and 10th in yards. Oh, and if Tyrod Taylor is activated from the IR and starts on Sunday, Cooks becomes an even better play for week 9. Pat Freiermuth is the guy in Pittsburgh now, especially with Eric Ebron sidelined by a hamstring injury and possibly sitting out this week too. Freiermuth has been targeted 7 times in back-to-back games and has seen consecutive season-high snap counts. Even if Ebron returns, he's been losing his hold on the position anyway, and Freiermuth is a day 2 draft pick who continues to evolve. He made an insane elite-level concentration grab in the end zone last week with the defender draped all over him and has 2 goal line targets over the past 2 games to boot. He even has a 19% target share over that span. Meanwhile, Ebron has a 5% target share on the season, so once again, even if he's active, it shouldn't make much of a difference. Tight end is one of those positions where you can win weeks by streaming the right ones, and Freiermuth fits the mold for week 9. And while the Bears have done a good job of containing tight ends this season, they haven't exactly faced a murderer's row of players at the position. With the Steelers being touchdown favorites at home, they should see enough scoring opportunities to make Freiermuth viable on Monday night. He isn't a top option at the position, and you knew that, but he's definitely someone you can slot in as a streamer and is only rostered in 11% of leagues on Yahoo. I like that. Speaking of good players on bad teams, Michael Carter was further proof last week that they can pay off in a big way. I featured him in last week's must-start video, so I won't take too long here, but I wanted to follow up with some more reasons why you should be starting him again on Thursday night. So if you remember, I talked about how Mike White wasn't a downgrade from Zach Wilson right now, and he targeted his running backs 47% of the time in week 7. Well, I was right about both of them, but my God, I had no idea what was about to happen. 405 yards and an outright win against the Bengals, who were 11-point favorites in New York. Incredible. To act like any one of us saw that coming, crazy. Can you believe the Jets drafted Wilson when they had Mike White waiting in the wings all along? This franchise, man. The 2018 fifth-round draft pick was spectacular on Sunday, and it only made Michael Carter that much better. Now, we should all temper expectations going forward. Of course, the Jets are still 10.5-point road dogs against a good Colts team, and Mike White is entirely unproven outside of one big game. But once again, volume is king in fantasy football, and Carter is now averaging 13 carries, 12 targets, and 25 total looks over his last 2 games. White targeted his running backs on 45% of his passes again in week 8, and Carter has a 26% target share over those last 2 weeks. No one else is north of 14% on his team. So yeah, I'll take the volume all day here, especially considering Carter will be used heavily regardless of game script. He's played 70+% of snaps in back-to-back weeks and has been targeted on a whopping 36% of routes run. I'll keep playing him, and so should you. I also wanted to follow up on Devontae Booker, who was another back featured in last week's video for similar reasons to Carter. One thing I've been adamant about taking into consideration since Saquon Barkley went down is how much Booker would have played over the last few weeks had they not been involved in monster blowouts. Simply put, Booker would have been getting an easy 90+% of snaps in the Giants offense if the games they played were competitive. And that's exactly what we saw in Monday's close-fought loss in Kansas City. Booker played 56 of a possible 60 snaps and got 21 total looks on the night. Meanwhile, Saquon Barkley said he didn't play on Monday because there was still too much swelling and bruising in his ankle. That doesn't sound like a player who's going to be active in week 9, 1 week before his team's bye, even if he's optimistic that he can. If Barkley remains out, I'll keep starting Booker, especially against the Raiders team that's allowing the 4th most rushing yards per game. If you love fantasy football and you haven't played daily fantasy football yet, well, I got an amazing offer for you. And my only hesitation in telling you this is that you're just going to stop watching my videos here on this channel. But that's cool. You can head over to our main channel, the DFS one, and, well, we'll be square. But check this out. If you sign up for Yahoo Fantasy as a new user, got to be a new user, using the link below in the description and deposit just $10 or more if you'd like, but only has to be $10. You will get 1 full free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. That's everything on the site. And it's not just football, baseball, basketball, hockey, PGA, MMA, NASCAR, even esports. If they have contests out there, we've got content for it. And all of the tools you need to win at Yahoo as well. Ownership projections, player projections, top stack tool, boom bust tool, the lineup builder, and so much more, all of which are built by the #1 ranked DFS player out there, Awesemo himself, won millions of dollars using these very tools I'm talking about right now. So check it out. Go to Yahoo, sign up using the link in the description. Deposit $10 or more. They will send their information over to us, and we will email you with the steps to get your free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum and $90 value. You got to check DFS out. You're going to love it. And, well, you can use all of the tools on the site. And, of course, follow along every single day of the week with our DFS content on the Awesemo YouTube channel as well. Check it out. Link in the description below. We'll see you over there. We're targeting some bad games this week, baby, so buckle up. But sometimes that's where you'll find some of your best flex players, bye week fillers, and even better. That's where we're at with Jaylen Waddle and Myles Gaskin. Waddle has seen no shortage of opportunities this season. Whether they've been quality opportunities is another question, but he's 8th in the league with 67 targets and has recently been playing almost 100% of snaps. The problem with Waddle, though, is he's averaging 8.6 yards per reception, which ranks 86th among 88 receivers with at least 20 targets. And he has the 2nd lowest ADOT in the league, ahead of only Jamison Crowder and Rondell Moore. Now that's the bad part. Here's the good part. Well, Waddle still has a 22% target share in his offense and leads the Dolphins in red zone targets both inside the 20 and inside the 5. The Texans are coughing up a dreadful 8.6 yards per attempt to opposing passers and are PFF's 31 ranked pass defense. They also grade out dead last as a team in tackling, which obviously should help someone like Waddle, who will need to shed a few defenders in order to break one. And it doesn't hurt that he's broken the 7th most tackles in the league, so maybe this will be his week. As for Gaskin, he's been a constant headache all season long. But if he's still on your roster and you need a flex play at running back or you're just weak at the position, this could be a time to deploy him. Gaskin will cede some carries to Salvon Ahmed now that Malcolm Brown is on the IR, but here's where Brown's absence might actually be important. Brown was vulturing a lot of goal line carries in Miami when he was involved in the offense. But over the last 3 weeks since Ahmed became more involved, Gaskin has out-touched them 7-2 in the red zone. And while Brown has 4 goal line carries this season, Ahmed has none. That's pretty valuable information considering the Dolphins have by far their highest implied total of the season and are 6.5-point favorites at home. Now let's hope Brian Flores doesn't pull some shit where Gaskin goes from seeing the majority of snaps in the backfield to being an afterthought. I don't think that'll be the case on Sunday, though. I'm going to roll him out there if I need to. I'm skeptical that this game between the Eagles and Chargers will be a shootout, as the 50.5-point total and 2.5-point spread suggests, but I do think it sets up really nicely for Dallas Goedert. The Chargers have been tuned up by tight ends this season, which has seemingly been the one weak spot in their pass defense. And while Goedert isn't exactly having the greatest of seasons statistically, he's still the bona fide top option at his position in Philly now that Zach Ertz is gone and is coming off a 6-reception, 7-target, 72-yard game against the Lions where Jalen Hurts threw only 14 times. Yes, that gave Goedert a 50% target share on the day. He's only scored twice on the season, but Goedert still leads the Eagles in red zone targets with 6, which is tied with the since-departed Ertz. And considering he's going to play north of 90% of snaps in a game where the Eagles shouldn't have the luxury of running the ball 46 times again like they did against the anemic Lions, Goedert could be in for his first real big day of the year. Courtland Sutton's season has been hit or miss, but that's to be expected while playing on a paper tiger team like the Broncos, who went 3-0 against highly inferior opponents, then dropped 4 straight before getting another soft team in Washington last week. But Sutton has some encouraging metrics, like the fact that he's been targeted on deep balls more than any other player in the league, or that he leads the league in air yards or is third in ADOT. His reception rate sucks, but that comes with the territory, and it might not matter on Sunday when the Broncos travel to Dallas. Dak Prescott should be back in action, meaning we'll likely see Denver trying to dig themselves out of an early hole. It'll lead to more pass attempts from Teddy Bridgewater, particularly downfield, and hopefully more opportunities for Sutton. Yeah, Jerry Jeudy is back in the mix, but that doesn't mean Sutton won't benefit from the added passing volume, especially now that Noah Fant, who leads the Broncos with 11 red zone targets, Sutton's second with 9, just hit the COVID-19 reserve list and might not play. Get this, 53% of Sutton's targets and 52% of his fantasy points have come in only 3 games, where Denver lost by more than a touchdown. Ultimately, Sutton is a supremely talented receiver who can compete on any contested pass and make huge splash plays against any defense. So I'll continue rolling him out there in what's almost certain to be a negative game script. Before we go, I just want to quell some of your concerns about Darrel Williams if you were looking to start him this week, but you worry that Derek Gore might carve out too big a role in the offense. Yes, Gore looked pretty good and had a great drive that ended with him finding the end zone, but he wasn't targeted at all in the passing game. Neither was Jerick McKinnon. Actually, Williams was the only running back targeted and was highly efficient, catching all 6 balls for 61 yards. Patrick Mahomes is struggling mightily to get the ball downfield right now and could keep looking to Williams to move the chains against a tough Green Bay Packers team that is going to put points up on the other side. Considering Williams still played 64% of snaps on Monday and had 19 total looks, I still think he's entirely viable in a game that boasts a slate high 54-point total, assuming Clyde Edwards-Helaire remains sidelined. Thanks for hanging out as always. Hit us up at awesemo.com. Check out everything we've got. Fantasy football, sports betting, DFS, you name it. Everything headed up by the #1 ranked DFS player in the world, Awesemo himself. I'm Dave Loughran, and we'll catch you back here for the next one. Peace.